everything that I say, no matter how crazy, Usha has to smile and laugh. And
my wife did not grow up Christian. I think it's fair to say that she grew up in a Hindu family, but not in a particularly religious family, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me.
But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD, and Vice President JD. Yes, I do.
What if America's next First Lady has already been chosen, and it's not J.D. Vance's wife? Imagine waking up to headlines that Usha Vance, the quiet and brilliant wife of the vice president, has leaked shocking proof that conservative influencer Erika Kirk has been plotting her way into the White House ever since her husband's mysterious death. It sounds insane, right? But when you start connecting the dots, Erika's sudden glow-up, her constant media appearances, and that viral hug that set the internet on fire.
Holy shit, they are trying to replace Usha Vance with Erika Kirk. Because Erika Kirk and J.D. Vance is their Christian nationalist wet dream. And you won't convince me otherwise. Because what is this? What is this body language? When did we start putting our hands up in the hair of our friends when we hug? Yeah, no, you don't. This is weird. Oh, and then there's this one. JD, why are your hands so low? There's no reason for them to be on her hips, but there they are. But if that's not enough, here is her introducing him at Turning Point.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do.
And if you're not convinced yet that they're trying to replace her with Erika Kirk, this is him when asked by a student about him and his wife's difference in like their religious beliefs, and he ends it with this.
Do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
He wants her to fall in line. He wants her to be a Christian nationalist just like him. And if he can't convince her, he'll find a new one.
You start to wonder if this isn't just a coincidence. Usha, who's reportedly been piecing together private messages and travel records, allegedly believes Erika's been aligning herself with JD for months, laying the groundwork for something much bigger. And it's not just a simple affair rumor. Insiders claim this could be a full-blown political takeover, one designed to put Erika in the perfect position to become America's next First Lady. The hug, the timing, the faith talk, it all feels calculated. So the question is, how deep does this go? Was this a personal betrayal or the start of a premeditated power play? Because once you hear what's been uncovered about JD, Erika, and Usha, you'll realize this isn't just gossip. It's a dangerous game with real consequences. It was supposed to be a simple Turning Point USA event in Oxford, but that hug changed everything. In front of nearly 10,000 people, Erika Kirk introduced J.D. Vance with a line that made the room freeze. No one will replace my husband, but I do see some similarities in J.D. Then came the hug. Her hand tangled in his hair, his palm resting low on her back. Intimate, way beyond a political gesture. Cameras flashed, social media exploded, and body language experts called it romantically charged. Within hours, memes labeled it the soft launch. But to Usha Vance watching from afar, it didn't look like a hug. It looked like confirmation. Insiders say that was the moment Usha started putting the puzzle together, realizing this wasn't about grief or comfort. It was something deeper. The internet's curiosity turned into obsession. Threads, slow motion clips, zoom-ins, everyone wanted to know. Was this the spark of an affair or the reveal of a plan? Because that one hug didn't just create headlines. It set the stage for a storm that would soon engulf Washington. And as we'd later learn, Usha wasn't just watching. She was already connecting dots no one else dared to see. Not long after the hug, whispers began spreading that Usha had found something. And it wasn't just suspicions. According to sources close to her, she uncovered messages, shared travel schedules, and late-night communications that made it impossible to ignore what was happening. The story goes that she quietly confided in friends, saying she believed Erika had been planning this since Charlie Kirk's funeral, using grief as a cover for a political climb. The hug, Usha thought, wasn't random. It was a public test to see how people would react to seeing them together. Some claim Usha felt blindsided, while others say she was furious but composed, studying every move. Imagine realizing that the woman your husband's political team can't stop praising might also be the woman trying to replace you. To make matters worse, insiders say Usha started noticing shifts in JD's tone. Subtle, distant, almost rehearsed. Publicly, he began framing his marriage as interfaith and complicated, which only fueled more rumors. And for Usha, this wasn't about faith anymore, it was about betrayal, and the sense that her family was becoming part of someone else's strategy. If you trace Erika's moves over the months following Charlie's death, the timeline looks too perfect to ignore. First, the constant media appearances. Then, the emotional interviews where she subtly praised JD as the only one who truly understands the mission Charlie started. To her followers, it looked like grief. To skeptics, it looked like branding. Rumors exploded when Erika compared JD to her late husband, not once but repeatedly on live TV. One viral post said, "JD Vance will divorce his wife and marry Charlie's widow." Watch people laughed it off at first, but as Erika kept showing up alongside JD at events, those jokes stopped sounding funny. She wasn't just a widow, she was becoming a public figure with growing influence, charm, and political pull. The optics? Perfectly aligned with the MAGA base, young, Christian, and faith-driven. Analysts started speculating that she was being groomed as the next face of conservative femininity. And if the whispers were true, Erika didn't just want influence, she wanted the title that comes with standing beside power. The title of First Lady. Then came the public humiliation. J.D. Vance, once protective of his private life, suddenly started airing religious differences on stage. "My wife didn't grow up Christian," he said before 10,000 people, "but I hope she comes to see it my way someday." To his supporters, it sounded innocent. To those who knew Usha, it was cruel, especially because Usha had publicly said her parents were devout Hindus who shaped her values. So why was JD pretending otherwise? The answer might be strategy. Insiders believe he's carefully rewriting their story, turning cultural differences into an excuse for distance. Political analysts call it narrative engineering. Others call it groundwork for divorce. When a man publicly questions his wife's faith in front of his political base, it's not a slip. It's a setup. Usha by now reportedly realized JD wasn't defending her anymore. He was aligning himself with the people who saw her as an outsider. And that shift wasn't just personal, and it was political. Because if JD wanted to run in 2028, he couldn't afford to have a non-Christian wife standing beside him. That's when the wildest theory emerged. Something called Pauline privilege. It's an old Catholic doctrine that allows a baptized Christian to end a marriage with a non-baptized spouse, claiming the union was never sacramental. Guess what? JD's Catholic. Usha's Hindu. The loophole fits perfectly. The speculation, JD could invoke Pauline privilege, walk away clean, and remarry Erika, all while keeping his religious image spotless. For conservative voters, it would look spiritually justified. For Usha, it would be devastating. The idea took off online like wildfire. Threads broke down timelines, citing sermons, religious forums, even screenshots from church bulletins. Could JD really be laying the legal and spiritual foundation for a clean exit? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing's certain, every time JD publicly mentions religion or marriage now, the internet listens closer. Because if Pauline privilege really is the next step, that means Erika's First Lady dream could be much closer than anyone realized. Charlie Kirk's death was ruled a tragedy, But for many, the story never added up. A sudden, violent incident, followed by a widow who didn't act like one. Within days, Erika was smiling on camera, running podcasts, and talking politics. People noticed the tone. Too calm, too polished, almost rehearsed. Then came the interviews where she called JD a man who reminds me of my husband. The timing felt off, almost chilling. Internet detectives started connecting the dots, asking if Charlie's death was random or part of a larger plan. Of course, there's no evidence, only suspicion. But the coincidences keep piling up. Erika's immediate rise in visibility, JD's distancing from Usha, the shared events, and then the turning point hug that went viral. Each piece fits a disturbing theory that Charlie's death created the space Erika needed to pivot from grieving wife to political partner. Whether orchestrated or opportunistic, it's hard to ignore how fast Erika went from widow to one of the most talked about women in conservative politics. As the story escalated, attention shifted back to Usha. Viewers noticed how she looked, quiet, withdrawn, exhausted. Some began to say she looked like a hostage, her smile forced during the public events. Online speculation got darker, threads claiming Usha's not safe. Viral posts predicting mysterious illness headlines in coming weeks. None of it proven, of course, but it shows how public sympathy flipped. Once dismissed as the quiet second lady, Usha became the symbol of a woman trapped between power and betrayal. Meanwhile, JD kept doubling down, now publicly emphasizing faith, conversion, and family values, while never mentioning Usha by name. Critics called it erasure. Supporters called it discipline. But one thing's certain, Usha's silence only made the internet louder. And every time Erika appeared smiling beside JD, the contrast grew unbearable. People began asking, is Usha still fighting? Or has she already given up the role everyone's trying to take from her? Behind all this drama, the political machine keeps turning. Laura Trump has already said it. J.D. Vance is being groomed to take over once Trump's final term ends. 8 more years of MAGA? And who better to stand beside him than a Christian, camera-ready, politically loyal widow like Erika Kirk? To Trump's base, she's perfect. Beautiful, devoted, and unshakably conservative. To strategists, she's marketing gold. The story practically writes itself. 2 believers united after tragedy, leading a new America. It's powerful, emotional, and impossible to ignore. The only obstacle? Usha. Her existence complicates the narrative, both politically and visually. And if the rumors of divorce or religious separation are true, Erika could easily slide into the spotlight as the chosen one. Whether that's reality or speculation, it's clear this isn't just a love triangle in line, it's a political prophecy. Because in the world of power and image, every move is calculated, and every embrace might just be the start of something much bigger.